Hey, will you flip the lights on? I want to see all the moms and the beautiful faces out there. Happy Mother's Day to you, moms. We love you. Thank you for what you do. All we're going to do is we have a special room. You're going to go take a nap right now, moms. Okay. Amanda's like, don't joke about that. You're going to make some people mad. But we want to celebrate with you today. And one of my favorite things that it actually gets me through the week, those are memes. You really shouldn't post anything other than memes. No one cares about your kids. No one cares about your food. I don't care what you have in your house. Put something funny out there that I can laugh at to get me through the week. That's all I care about. So what I wanted to do is share some of my favorite Mother's Day memes with you, and you can amen if you feel this. So here's the first one. Mommy, I'm so sorry you're tired. Just kidding, I don't care. Can I get an amen for the tired moms in the house? They're like, what? Huh? What are we doing? Baby was up last night. This next one, I think, makes you'll really see a little hand. You know what I'm talking about? Moms are like, can I just go to the bathroom by myself? Like, if I can get that, that's a win. Don't give me flowers. Just let me have my space, all right? This one fits pretty well for our family, and this may be you as a mom. Happy Mother's Day to someone who spoils me and then complains how spoiled I am. You moms, I'm going to be honest. Amanda's like, they're so spoiled. I'm like, you take them for lattes every Sunday morning. Yeah, they're spoiled. Or they won't pick their room up. And she's like, you better pick your room up. And then a day later, it's like, I'm going to grab this real quick. Okay, I'll just take this down. You keep playing your Fortnites. I know you got stuff to do, so whatever. This next one is going to hit a little bit hard, but it's truth. I don't want to sleep like a baby. I just want to sleep like my husband. Guilty. I'm going to own that one. Because there was many mornings I woke up and I was like, I didn't hear the baby. What? I don't know what you're talking about. This one will help you understand moms if you don't. Men, if you ever want to know what a woman's mind feels like, imagine a browser with 2857 tabs open all the time. It's incredible. It is really, truly incredible. But here's where it gets you in trouble. This is with me and Amanda. She will bring me into a conversation that she's had in her mind about halfway, and I have no clue what's going on. She'll just say, Friday with the thing, and then we're going to go to the deal. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, let me, okay, I got to go caveman style. So what we're going to do, honey, is, because she's already went ahead. She already knew what she was talking about. This next one, it's probably just for my family. So I love how we don't even need to say out loud that I'm your favorite child. So my sister's here, so that's for us. It's not for the others. It's not for our brothers. They're losers. So maybe you're the favorite, maybe not. Before we get to this next one, this one hits a little hard maybe for you, but we need to be honest with ourselves a little bit. So here, let's look at this one right here. Moms be like, he's such a good boy. He's going through a phase right now. No, he's crazy. He needs some help. He's a special boy. Yeah, he's special. He's killing people, whatever. That's what I love about moms, though. They see the good in every single kid. And now, before we get to this last one, we are a church that likes to laugh. Can we agree with that? We are very raw with ourselves, right? I make fun of myself all the time, right? Okay, so we're all in this together, right? Okay, here's the last one. Happy Mother's Day to all those iPads out there. Oh, Aaron, thanks for that one, man. I said no. Absolutely not. That's offensive. I asked Matthew. He said yes. We called Devin up. He said, yeah, I'll put that in there. I'm like, guys, this is offensive. So just no for me. No way. No. Listen, we love to laugh here, but we really do celebrate you, moms. Thank you so much for the hard work, the dedication, the love. We get a picture of who God is through that. And so thank you for loving us that way. I also do want to recognize something else. I know that today can actually be a difficult day for some people. You've lost your mom. You've lost a kid. It can be a very difficult day for you. So I want you to know we pray specifically for that, for those that this may be a little bit more of a difficult day for you. So I just want you to know that we are, as a church, praying for you if you're going through some of those things. But we're in this series called This Is the Way. And I thought about taking a break in doing a Mother's Day thing, but I actually think that this encounter that we're going to see fits really well for moms. And so if you've been here, we've been going through, my other brother's here. Sorry, I didn't see you back there. It's just for the three of us and not the younger one who's the baby and got everything. Anyway, but his family's here. Anyway, I don't know, okay? We're all favorites. Sorry, I just saw him. I try to get myself out of trouble while I'm on stage. So we've been walking through encounters with Jesus, times that people have spent with Jesus and how it changed them and how it changed really the outlook of our world. And so I want to do that today. There's a lot of moving parts in this story. So what I thought I would do is let's take the characters or the different people inside of the story. And what I want to challenge you to do today, moms and everybody, this is for everyone, is kind of find yourself in one of these characters. Who are you most like? And see kind of where you're at and kind of assess that. And so it's found in John chapter 9. We're going to read pretty much the entire chapter, which is always good. More scripture, the better. Amen. And so I want to just read the first part of this, and then we'll kind of take a break. So John chapter 9. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sins? It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins, Jesus answered. This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the task assigned us by the one who sent me. The night is coming, and then no one can work. But while I'm here in the world, I am the light of the world. Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam. Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. His neighbors and others who knew him as a blind beggar asked each other, isn't this the man who used to sit and beg? Some said he was, and others said, no, he just looks like him. But the beggar kept saying, yes, no, I'm the same one. They asked him, who healed you? What happened? So he told them, the man they called Jesus made mud and spread it over my eyes and told me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash yourself. So I went and washed, and now I can see. Let's take a break right there because I want us to meet our first character, and it's the blind man. Here we have this man who day by day would go and he would just beg for a living. That's what they did. It was just a different time, and they were basically outcast from the community, from the city. And so he would sit around and just try to beg to get his next food, and people would walk by them, and they just didn't really matter. And no one really understood the pain that they went through, and nobody really saw them. They always just walked past them. And so I want to invite you to maybe ask yourself, do I identify with this man? Maybe as a mom, this is the way you feel. No one understands me. No one sees what I'm going through. No one understands the depths of the hurt or the depths of the pain that I'm walking through right now. Maybe it's a failing marriage. Maybe you've had miscarriages that have happened. Maybe you just feel like no one appreciates a single thing that you do. And maybe this is how you feel, like no one understands me and no one sees me. Well, I want to give you some encouragement, first of all, because there's a hero in this story that we've already met. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. But I want you to be encouraged today because there's a happy ending to this story. But I think that a lot of us can get in that situation. It's not just for moms, but I think specifically today as we talk about moms, I've just, in 20 years of ministry, I've seen a lot of moms who've struggled just with life, not feeling appreciated, not feeling like people understand exactly what they're going through, struggles with kids who walk away from church, all those kind of things that moms have to go through. And there's a connection there. And I want to say this, and I'm going to say it one time, and then we're going to move on. I'm making generalities about moms. I know there's single dads out there as well that are doing things. So just for today, we're talking about moms mainly. But we get in these places where we're like, okay, I just look around me. Does it even matter what I'm doing? And what I want to do today is invite you to maybe look at the situation a little bit different. Look at the circumstances just a little bit different. Because in our mind, Jesus walks by this blind beggar and he does something really weird. He spits in the ground and then he wipes it in the man's eyes. I mean, like from our perspective, it actually seems a little mean. Imagine that you're like sitting back and you're watching this, and most people probably picked on these people. They were just walked by him and ignored him. But here comes Jesus. He spits in the mud and he wipes it on the guy's eyes. I mean, if I'm just standing there, I'm like, dude, that's mean, Jesus. Like he's already struggling, and now you're putting mud in his eyes. What's wrong with you? But that's our perspective. That's how we see the circumstance. What we don't know is that saliva was believed to have healing powers and was used quite a bit medically back then. So it wouldn't be weird at all for him to spit in the ground and use it. So just that little perspective change changes the idea of saliva. I mean, think about it now. You moms still do it. You got this thing here, right? It still lives on. My son is 13, and Amanda will still do it to him, and I get mad for him. I'm like, don't do that to him. In her defense, he's a messy kid. Anyway. Just that little shift. It's gross that he would spit in the ground and wipe it. No, it's actually, when you see it, it's actually a beautiful picture of healing and of grace. But it's all how we look at it. This is the way. We don't see the big picture. We don't see how God is moving, right? We just see the moment. We just see the thing that's right in front of us. And a lot of times we're missing out on something greater that's happening, something greater that's going on. Your kids may not listen to you right now, but you're planting seeds. And if you stay faithful, who knows what will happen, right? We just see the momentary things. Think about childbirth. Childbirth is gross. Like, I said at first service, and I felt like some people were like, what? Like, they were shocked. It is. It's gross, right? It's painful. If you were just describing to somebody who didn't know what childbirth was all about, you're just describing the process and everything that was happening, they'd be like, that's horrible. But in truth, it's one of the most beautiful things to happen on the face of this planet. Because we don't just see the pain. We don't just see all the stuff going on there. We know what is going to happen. We know what's going to happen out of this life that's going to come. That's the picture that God is trying to give here. It seems gross to us. It seems like the circumstances are all messed up, but he's working something behind the scenes. And I think far too many people get focused on just what's right in front of me and the circumstances that I see. And so maybe, just maybe, you're there. I'll tell you another one that's gross but beautiful. Kids with food. Man, I'm glad I'm past that. Evan, not so much, a little bit. He still wears it 24/7. That, to me, was the worst part of having kids, young kids, was the food. And you just give it to them, and then you just let them just all over them, and then you have to handle them, and then they get it all over you, and that's supposed to be normal? Like, if I just started to eat something, then I got it out of my mouth, and I just slapped you in the face with it, but a baby can do that? I was offended. I'm like, no. And for some reason, we got these little, they're basically like Vienna sausages. And Emma would just squeeze them and just, Anybody feel me on that? Am I alone here? That's like the grossest thing. But I'm going to be honest, I miss it. I miss that. You know what I'm saying? Now that they're older, I wish Evan wouldn't have stuff all over him. But anyway, he's going to be so mad that I talked about him. Emma's like, did you talk about me? And Evan's like, don't talk about me. But for some of you, maybe this is where you see yourself. You kind of identify with a blind man. They just don't understand me. They just don't see me. Well, there's a second group that's about to enter. The Pharisees, the religious leaders at the time, they hear about this man who was healed. And starting in verse 13, it says, then they, the people who knew the man, took the man who had been blind to the Pharisees because it was on the Sabbath that Jesus had made the mud and healed him. The Pharisees asked the man all about it, so he told them, he put the mud over my eyes, and when I washed it away, I could see. Some of the Pharisees said, this man Jesus is not from God, for he is working on the Sabbath. Others said, but how could an ordinary sinner do such a miraculous sign? So there was a deep division of opinion among them. Then the Pharisees again questioned the man who had been blind and demanded, what's your opinion about this man who healed you? And the man replied, I think he must be a prophet. And the Jewish leaders still refused to believe the man had been blind and could now see. So they called in his parents. Let's stop there. The Pharisees hear about this. And instead of celebrating, hey, how cool is this that this guy couldn't see and now he can, they're upset. How could you? That's not how we do things. That's not the way that things work. That's not how we have it planned out. You're supposed to ask us, we are the leaders. Why would you do this without us? And I think that if we're not careful, we can definitely get there. Let me explain that a little bit. You see, the Pharisees, they were the religious leaders, and they held that in high esteem. The problem is they became arrogant about it, and they saw themselves as better than everyone else. So they wouldn't, the Sabbath is a day that you were supposed to keep holy. You weren't supposed to work at all. You were just supposed to honor God with that day. So Pharisees wouldn't even spit in the ground for fear that it might mix with some of the dirt and become mud. This is how over the top they were. They wouldn't even spit in the ground because they didn't want anybody to think that they were working. So now you can see why they're upset with Jesus. Because who's this man to come in? That's not how we do things. Who's this man to come in and try to do this, to work on the Sabbath like that? Makes a little more sense why Jesus did that. And here's the truth about the Pharisees. They put so much pressure and weight on themselves that now that they push that out to everyone else because they were like, I got to be better than you. I got to be better than you. I need to create new rules so that I can still be better even if you're following all the other rules. And they were miserable to be around. That's why Jesus was so hard on them. And what I have seen, again, throughout ministry is that moms are stressed and anxious and depressed more than ever. And I think it's almost completely because of social media. Now, again, let me explain. I don't want to harp on social media. I know I do that a lot. But I think we've developed this need to feel perfect. And I think that we've fallen into this curse of comparison. And that's what the Pharisees were doing. They were saying, well, you do this, but I've got to be better because I'm elevated. And I've got to be better than them, and they do this, so I've got to be better than that. And they just kept comparing, and they had to be better. And I see so many moms who do that, who try to compare. Well, her kids look like they're well-behaved, or, man, her house always looks clean, or, man, she seems to have it all together, or her Pinterest board is so much better than mine, or, whatever the case may be. Let's be honest. And you feel this, weight of I've got to compare myself, and I've got to be like someone else. So let me just set you free for just a second. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. You've already had the Creator say you're loved and valued. We talked about that the first week. You don't need anybody else telling you anything. And let me just say this as well. And this is for everybody, not just moms, but mainly moms, okay? Because it's your day. Stop trying to compare yourself to someone else's highlight reel. Their kids don't always act like that, I promise you. They smile for that one picture, but you didn't see the 64 other ones. Where it's like, black fist is coming in, or whatever. So Amanda, I told her I was going to say this. I didn't tell you I was going to say this. I just said it the first service, but now you know I'm going to say it. So I have to take at least 15 pictures of Amanda to post one. And here's the truth. She's beautiful. The first picture is fantastic. It's fine. But she has to, one little thing, and it's just got to be perfect. And I feel like that's sometimes how we are just in general. The picture's got to be perfect. Now, sometimes I just take stuff to be funny, and so that's probably why she's like, let me see it first. Because I love taking a picture like mid-bite or something. That's so funny. Anyway, I want people to be released from this comparison trap. That's why the Pharisees were so uptight. That's why they couldn't see the miracle that happened right in front of them. They're so worried about comparing themselves to everyone else that they missed out on everything that God had for them. And let me just say this. God has given you this family at this time, and you don't need to worry about anything else. Love them well. Enjoy them. Just enjoy that time because it goes by quick. I've got a 13 and a 14-year-old. I'm telling you, it seemed like yesterday they were 1 and 2. I'm telling you. Wait, is he 13? He's 12. He's almost 13. My poor son, he's going to be like, tell him not to watch this one. It goes by quick, though. It goes by quick. Don't spend any time wishing you were like somebody else, trying to be like somebody else. Listen. You're not going to be. Who's it? Joanna Gaines? Is that you're not going to fix her up or anything? All right, that's not for you. All right, you're not going to Rachel Ray any food. All right, you're fine. Just do your thing, and you're going to be all right. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Be released from that, because here's what happens. Typically, when we feel that way, how does it come out? It comes out like these guys were. Well, he can't be from God. And usually, because we're so stressed, because moms have taken so much on, it usually comes in lashing out at the people they love. And dads do it too. We're so stressed about the way that we feel and comparing, and you don't need that. Cherish this time that you have with them. Cherish this time with your family, and don't worry about anybody else. Okay? God has said you are loved and valued. So in come his parents. Chance for redemption. Chance for them to stand up to the Pharisees. Let's see what they do here in verse 19. So the Pharisees asked them, "Is this your son? Was he born blind? If so, how can he now see?" Here's some validation, right? They're going to come in and say, Jesus did it. His parents replied, "We know this is our son and that he was born blind. That's good. But we don't know how he can see or who healed him," which was a lie. "Ask him. He is old enough to speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders, who had announced that anyone saying Jesus was the Messiah would be expelled from the church. That's why they said, "He is old enough. Ask him." I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't have any notes for this section. So if you don't know me, then you maybe don't know what that means. But this means I'm just going to go. So, again, I don't want to use Mother's Day to condemn anything, okay? That's not my goal. The Holy Spirit, he's about conviction. He's the one who brings all of that. But I do think that there's something that we can see here. And the truth is that the parents chose what was popular and easy over what was right. And I'm going to sound like an old school pastor, and I'm actually okay with that because I think we need to get back to some of that. But I think we're living in a generation where that's the decisions that we're making as parents. What's easy? What's everyone else doing? Because it's a whole lot easier to tell my kid no when someone else has told you. I remember when Emma was in 6th grade, this was every day. I'm the only one without a cell phone, which is a lie because I know there was one other person. They may be the only two. I don't know. I just told her, babe, I don't care. That's just not the time for you to get a cell phone. You just don't need it. Now, I'm not telling you when to get a cell phone or anything like that. I'm just saying it would have been a whole lot easier for me to give in. It would have been a whole lot easier to be like, okay, you're right, everyone else has it. And I'm not saying we make all the best parenting choices or anything like that, but we are very intentional about how we parent our kids. And I'm amazed sometimes at what I see parents allowing with their kids. It is not healthy for a kid to be in front of a screen for 8 hours. As a matter of fact, and that's not for me, okay? So I don't want you to think I'm up here giving my opinion. The American Psychiatric Kid, I can't remember what I looked it up, whatever, American Psychiatric Kids Alliance or whatever it is, said that 2 hours should be the max a day. That's not popular. And I'm telling you, in our house, we're struggling with that. We just had a big conversation about it. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying what's right. Because if we just do what's easy, we're not raising up the next generation of believers. I'm amazed already at some of the stuff that my kids' friends listen to, hear, talk about. And again, this has been the same way for years and years and years. But I'm calling Christian, Christ-following parents to stand up for what's right. You can't give your kid this little electronic thing that has all the evils of the world and not put some protection on it or not protect them from it. That's not fair. They're too young. They don't know. And so again, I'm not here to condemn. That's between you, how you do that. But I'm saying what we see in this story is that the parents chose what was easy and what was popular instead of what was right. They should have stood up for their kid in that moment. They should have said, listen, he said it was Jesus and we believe him. But they were so worried about getting kicked out of their little synagogue that they wouldn't even support their kid. And it's time for us as parents to start rising up and saying, this is what's right in this world. That's why it's so important for this to be in your home. Because this is what's right, not our opinion, not whether you're right or left, Democrat, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is what's right. And we can't say that God is number one in our house unless this is inside of our house and we're teaching it to our kids. And so again, I not to condemn you, but to say there is a better way for you. This is the way, right here. And so you don't need to be your kid's friend, okay? That'll come. You need to lead them, okay? I'll stop there. Actually, one more thing. And I say this with all the love that I can muster. Sports will not save your kids. They are fantastic for teamwork building, for accountability, for training. My kids play sports year-round. We pick one sport each season, and they play it. So I'm not condemning sports at all. I actually think it's really good for kids to be in sports because it helps them learn a lot of things. But it cannot come over what can save them. And so let's just make sure that we're raising our kids up the right way. Let's not do what's easy. Let's not do what's popular. Listen, some days it's okay. Just throw them the iPad and say, go away. Like, that's okay. I'm not, but that can't be life. They need to see you, and they need to see the example of Jesus in you, okay? So I'll leave it there, and I hope you see my heart in that, and let the Spirit talk to you about that. And so I want to go back into what I would call scene 2 with the blind man and the Pharisees. So they bring him back in because his parents didn't want to deal with it. So in verse 24 it says, so for the second time they called in the man who had been blind and told him, God should get the glory for this because we know this man, Jesus, is a sinner. And this is one of my favorite sections of the Bible. I don't know whether he is a sinner, the man replied, but I know this. I was blind and now I can see. And I want to stop there for just a second because we have churchy words that we say like testimony. Testimony is just how you share about God and what he's done in your life. And people think that's weird or hard to do. This guy had no idea what was going on, and he just gave his testimony. All he said was, I don't know. I don't know all about him. What I know is I was blind and now I can see. That's a testimony. And every single Christ follower has one. All you have to do is tell people what God did in your life. Every single person has the ability to live that out. And this man, just brand new to seeing, is like, I don't know a whole lot about him. I know I was blind and now I can see. Can you see already the power that's going through this guy? He was the lowest of the low. He was sitting outside just begging for money. Now he stands before this religious leaders and he's not done there. But what did he do, they asked. How did he heal you? Look, the man exclaimed, I told you once, didn't you listen? Why do you want to hear it again? These are the religious leaders of the time and a poor blind beggar. And he's like, I told you before, listen up, clean your ears out, boys, here we go. And then he says one of my favorite lines, do you want to become his disciples too? Oh, do you know that made him mad? Oh, I love it. Then they cursed him and said, you are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know God spoke to Moses, but we don't even know where this man comes from. Well, that's very strange, the man replied. He healed my eyes, and yet you don't know where he comes from? We know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but he is ready to hear those who worship him and do his will. Ever since the world began, no one has been able to open the eyes of someone born blind. If this man were not from God, he couldn't have done it. Mic drop. Rock drop. I don't know what they had back then. Tablet drop. This was not someone who grew up in the church and who learned all the stuff. God will use you when you allow him. I mean, he stood before this religious leaders and he preached a message to them. Woo! I'm telling you right now, you have a word to give somebody, okay? Stop believing anything less than yourself. They loved what he said. No. Then they cursed him and said, oh, wait, we already read that. Hold on, let's go down there. You were born a total sinner. Oh, my gosh. They answered, are you trying to teach us? And they threw him out of the synagogue. I mean, there's a whole message about church in there, but anyway, we're not going to get, that was earlier, so I won't jump into that. So we see, again, this interaction between the blind man and the Pharisees. And then I want to introduce the hero. Now, we get to see him earlier in the story, but this whole story is about him, right? There's different people, there's different characters inside of this. This whole thing is about Jesus. This is the way. It's Jesus. We don't have this story without him. We don't get the news that he brings without him. You see, look here in verse 35. It says, when Jesus heard that this man had been thrown out of church, he found the man and asked, do you believe in the Son of Man? And the man answered, who is he, sir? I want to believe in him. You have seen him, Jesus said, and he is speaking to you. Yes, Lord, I believe, the man said, and he worshiped Jesus. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's what the story is all about, because here's the truth. Nobody saw and understood this man. It doesn't say how old he was, but he was obviously fairly old for years and years and years. Everyone walked past him. The disciples, what did they say when they came up and saw him? Oh, let's bring in some food. Jesus, I see that you're a caring person. Let's help this person out. No, they said, why is he that way? Did he sin, or was it his parents? Or he was just a question to them. The religious leaders cursed him, called him a sinner, and kicked him out of the church. His own parents wouldn't defend him. But Jesus saw him and understood him. And if you get nothing else out of today, I want you to hear this very clearly. Moms, if you're in that place, like I said, Jesus sees you and he understands you. You're not in this alone. There is someone who understands the pain you're going through. There's someone who understands the sleepless night. There's someone who understands your yearning to see your kid come back to church. He understands those things, and he sees you in the middle of your pain. Don't ever feel like you're alone. Don't ever feel like there's not someone who sees you every single day. Even this guy's own parents. I mean, obviously he's out begging by himself. They're not hanging out with him. But Jesus is so different than anyone else. Only Jesus. This is the way. He came to send the message. You are loved and valued. You are useful and needed, and you are seen and understood. And I hate when people go along in this world thinking that they're on this island and no one understands the pain. And sure, maybe humanly speaking, we don't understand. But you have someone who fully understands and is fully there for you. He brings beauty out of pain. That's what he does. That's what he's in the job of. I mean, that's what we see with this blind man. He wipes this mud on his eyes, which seems gross and weird, but it's ultimately for his healing. And maybe you're in a situation in your life right now that doesn't make sense, and God's going to bring some healing, and it may take a while. There's a song that came out several years back called Beautiful Things, and I thought it was so fitting for exactly what this situation was. So I want to just read some of the lyrics to you. It says, all this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. All this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things out of us. All around, hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make me new. You are making me new. And I love that line. Out of chaos, life is being found. But where is it found? Only in him. That's when life makes sense. And you may be walking through things and they don't make sense. And you may have been a great parent and your kid has walked away and gotten into stuff that they shouldn't have gotten into. And you may be feeling like something's wrong with me. Listen, out of this chaos, life is going to be found. God is going to use it. That's what he does. But it's only found in him. And so here's what I want to say. If you don't see yourself as a hero, then you need to get connected with the hero. Because I want to say this. I think a lot more moms are a hero in this story. Now, not the hero. Jesus is the hero. But a lot more of you moms are heroes and you don't know it. Because either you're looking around at everything else or you don't see the big picture. Amanda is the hero of our family, right? I get to get up here and preach and do all this fun stuff, but she is the glue. She is the rock. I'm telling you right now, she's the hero in our family. And my mom, she'll say this herself. She got a lot of things wrong. Man, I'll go in there sometimes and she'll just be crying and she'll just be apologizing for things that she did. But she loved us well. You know what I mean? She loved us well. And we turned out okay. And all my siblings come to church here and we have families and jobs and some of us have 401ks, I think. I don't know. I don't, but I'm going to grow up one of these days. No, actually I won't. But what I want my mom to know is that she's a hero. She's a hero. And I know she doesn't feel like it, but she is. And I know there's a lot more moms out there. You're doing a lot better than you think. You listen, your kid's not going to come up to you today and say, hey, I want you to know you're a hero. And I just want you to take a break before you bring those Cheerios to me. And just on your time, they're not going to do that. They're like, I want Cheerios. And that's your teenagers. But they're not going to come up and say those things to you. But I'm telling you right now, you are creating a legacy. And I think that song that we sang is so fitting over your children and their children and their children and their children. But it's only when we're connected to the hero. That's what makes us a hero. And so I just want to encourage you, moms. I want you to know that you are loved and valued. And again, we're speaking in generalities about moms today, dads as well, and everyone who works hard for their kids. But I want you to walk out of here and know that there's someone who sees and understands you. And he sees everything you're going through, and you can turn to him. And he's gonna be ready and waiting for you. Okay? He is there for you in every single moment. So don't ever think that there's not someone who's right there next to you. That's what Jesus does. That's why he's the hero.